Your daughter, Rachel, describes her own experiences as an elementary school teacher, explained that you and your wife, Dr. Jana M. Mason, came to visit her classroom to observe her reading instruction. She recalls the anticipation of your visit, adding that you could imagine the pressure. However, afterward, both of you were very complimentary, as well as analytical and supportive. She felt like she had arrived. Your stepdaughter, Susan, notes that in this age of standardized testing, of teaching to and measuring to the lowest common denominator, you trust children to be curious and teach teachers to lead rather than lecture. That's one of your most amazing accomplishments in terms of Susan's notes. No doubt thousands of your conceptual children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren are teaching all over the world, passing along their love of learning along with your ideas for teaching. Your extensive publishing career includes, to date, approximately 250 publications that have been collectively cited more than 33,000 times in other publications. You served as the president of the American Educational Research Association from 1983 to 1994, and we have a picture here in terms of a lot of other presidents with whom you're associated. You're also a member of the National Academy of Education, hence we're interviewing you for this show inside the Academy, and you have been a member since 1979. And you have received numerous awards and honors on top of that, including, but not limited to, the Palmer O. Johnson Award, which you've won twice, the Sylvia Scribner Award, and the Distinguished Contributions to Educational Research Award, which is the most, all of which were bestowed upon you by the American Educational Research Association. The Distinguished Research Award and the William S. Gray Citation of Merit, which is the highest honor of the International Reading Association, and the Oscar O. Kazi Award, awarded to you by the Literacy Research Association, the Reading Hall of Fame, the Edward L. Thorndike Award from the American Psychological Association, and the list goes on. Okay, so what's next? What else would you like to accomplish that you have not yet accomplished?
Well, I'm very eager to reap the fruits of the research we've been doing on collaborative reasoning, where the ideas still aren't firm, the analysis still isn't complete, but we have a very, very rich data set with over 750 poor minority children. And we've, if I can get through some first-rate analyses that could make a difference in the field from this large data set, I suppose that's my major scholarly goal right now.
Okay, great. What impact has your research had of which you are most proud?
Well, I'm proud of changing the direction of emergent literacy preparation in China. I'm proud for the revolution that we haven't not really touched on in our interview today of bringing home to the field of education, in particular reading education, the fundamental importance of background knowledge, what the student already knows and believes about the topic that they're reading about.
Talk about that a little bit more if you like.
Well, you may be aware of something called Schema Theory, which is a name for your systematic or organized knowledge you already have about a topic. You read about a new country, you don't have to learn what is a country, what sort of properties does a country have. You already know that a country is a political subdivision that has physical extent, a climate, peoples, culture, government. And you bring all of that general knowledge to bear to allow you to rapidly understand, assimilate, and interpret information about a country that you've never heard about or never were really familiar with. That should be obvious, but the meaning isn't just in that encyclopedia chapter you're reading. So that perhaps was my one of my big contributions to the field of reading was to explain how that could happen and to leave no doubt that that's what the process was.
Okay. What impact would you like your research still to have?
I wish I could be part of a revolution that would lead that would improve schooling so that schools were more intellectually stimulating, more conceptually rich, more personally engaging for children.
Definitely. That makes sense. Introspective questions is our almost final section for the interview today. Okay. Number 1, who do you believe has had the greatest impact on you and the person and scholar you have become today?
One person, huh?
Oh, it can be multiple. We'll stretch the rules on this one.
Well, I want to return to the theme of mentoring, and I did make the point sincerely that I get a lot from my students. But I would say my students give me a tremendous, exciting, and stimulating ride
Okay.
into the future.
What inspires you?
A really cool new finding is there's nothing to beat it.
Okay. What do you find uninspiring?
I feel some kind of stalemate about how we're going to make progress in improving education. And I feel the people who would have to have a meeting of minds aren't even talking to each other. They're in different spheres altogether. Who is this mysterious group of people called policymakers? And how would one have a conversation with someone called a policymaker about what education should be like?
That's a wonderful answer. I concur. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word? Oh, I don't know.
Can't be a phrase. I don't know doesn't count.
Well, I suppose I could pack a lot into the word hope. Even though things are not what we'd like them to be today, and probably won't be that way tomorrow, we have to hope for the future.
Sure. Even when stalemate.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite curse word?
Well, I cursed a lot when I was a young man. I'm not cursing that much anymore. I don't know why.
Beyond that. Awesome.
I've evolved.
So when you hurt your toe, do you just say, darn it?
I might.
Regress?
I've been known to. I use an angry shit when I'm trying to put something together, thread a whole lot of things together, and it falls apart in my hands. For example, like tie a fly on the end of a fishing line.
Oh, is that right? In Wisconsin,
Yes.
you probably fish quite a bit. What profession other than your own would you have liked to attempt?
Well, I rather like the one that I ended up in. The ones I sort of suppose that being an historian and public intellectual would have been appealing, and I got close enough to that direction, going that direction, that I think that could have been worthwhile.
Okay. What other profession would you have not liked to attempt?
I don't know. I like the challenge of complex problems that won't be solved in a flash. So I guess no matter that might. So I guess what, and I feel I am in a profession that makes those kinds of demands. So I don't know. What's the opposite of that?
A simpleton. Doesn't embrace complexity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is your favorite movie?
Well, I have to go. I guess I'm going to try to pick out something by Ingmar Bergman because I thought I liked his. I guess in a way they were dreary and depressing, but I think they were movies that tried to reveal something about the mind, the heart, and the soul, instead of just violent action.
Sure.
So I don't know which one of the Bergman movies.
Okay, that's good enough. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book. Well, I like a whole genre of biography, and sometimes I do. I've read. Well, I'll say a current favorite. I'm pausing because I can't come up with the author's name, but the guy who did the two Roosevelts, men and Eleanor Roosevelt. What book is that?
Oh, I don't know either. We can leave it at that. That's
All
good.
right.
Okay. If you could tell President Obama one thing, what would it be?
Well, I'd actually tell him I was disappointed with his education policy under the right circumstances, and that we could have hoped for more.
I would concur with that. If you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
You'd better pick somebody you can actually talk with, and I'm not so positive when we pick somebody out whether they're going to be easy to talk to.
Sure.
But it might be better to have a nice time with somebody not quite so profound, but I'll take a Wittgenstein.
Okay. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You did okay, my boy.
Perfect. And finally, what advice might you offer to graduate students and beginning researchers who hope to make a contribution like you to education and educational research?
Well, you have to nurture your own intrinsic reasons for doing this work, and not get caught up in appearances and the things that don't matter that much. To survive, you will have to earn some merit badges and smile at some department chairs, I guess. But keep your eye on your true long-term goals, even as you sometimes do what you must do to survive.
What are your intrinsic interests?
Well,
your own advice. How would you define yourself in that definition?
Well, you have to profoundly want to and deeply understand classroom learning and teaching, and you have to be profoundly committed to its long-term improvement, I think.
And that's how you would define yourself, is that right? Okay, great. In closing, when asked to capture the essence and nature of Dr. Dick Anderson, your wife of 4 decades, Dr. Jana M. Mason, characterizes you as a kind and generous husband who is dedicated to his students' development and to their understanding basic theoretical work in cognition and learning, but also to the ramifications to education of how learners might develop appropriate strategies for organizing and processing and remembering their thinking strategies. Your son, Andrew, describes you as extremely gifted and talented, devoted, optimistic, entertaining, fun-loving, generous, and kind. Your daughter, Rachel, explains that she has never known anyone so fully committed to life as her dad. You are all in all the time, in recreation, in conversation, in thought, and in your work. Your daughter, Sarah, characterizes you as principled, unfaltering, even driven, and you are also honest, generous, fair, warm, kind, playful, and silly. She loves to laugh and giggle with you over silly things during a game of cribbage, which we both love, or a hike on the mountain. She adds that you love people. You always strive to make people feel warm and appreciated. Your stepdaughter, Susan, explains that you are always cheerful, laugh when you are caught in an absurdity, and passionate about everything you do. She adds that now that you are retired, you still work at the office almost every day. You ski regardless of the weather, paddle in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in a kayak, walk your beloved dog, cook gourmet meals, keep up on Facebook, and lose yourself in fantasy basketball. She doesn't recall ever seeing you lose your temper and hopes that she has learned some patience and wisdom from your example. Your stepson, Michael, describes you as an amazing grandfather to their kids, adding that he has always respected you for your dedication to not just your job, but your students. Again, you are close to them and you are truly unselfish with them. He explains that if it were possible for a stepfather to replace a father, you would have done it because you have not lacked anything to do so. Your granddaughter, Drew, describes your most significant personal accomplishment as helping your grandkids achieve their college dreams. You have always encouraged and helped your grandkids without a second thought. She also notes that you are an optimist with a can-do attitude. You enjoy nature, the arts, and cooking amazing dishes. You are down to earth and continue to be energetic and athletic. Your granddaughter, Eliza, describes her relationship with you as relaxed love, adding that you are one of the coolest guys she knows and she respects you for so many things. Your marriage and in the way you care for her grandmother, your profession, the way you treat your students like equals and you empower them, and your love for adventure, whether it be walking in the woods of Wisconsin or flying overseas to Taiwan with her. You always carry a professional sense and character about you, yet are not afraid to wrestle on the ground with your grandkids and get messy in the kitchen cooking a meal. Your former student, Dr. Gail Sinatra, describes you as her academic grandfather and gentleman as well as a scholar, and your former student, Dr. Becky Chen, explains that you are not only a great scholar, but also a kind person. She can never forget your kindness and generosity. You were the first one to write to the College of Education about treating Arabic students fairly after 9/11, she notes. So thank you. Your former student, Dr. Jingjing Sun, captures your profound impact on your students over the years, noting that in your office there is a galaxy-style picture of a family tree of which you are very proud. The chart delineates your academic heritage, including both giants that came before you and your academic children, many of whom have long become national and international leaders in the field of educational psychology and otherwise. She adds that working with you has been an exciting and humbling experience. You make sure that your students, each individual one of them, feel valued and supported. Your colleague and friend, Dr. P. David Pearson, characterizes you as a scholar, noting that you combine rigorous and analytical thinking, creative problem solving, and spot-on intuition in equal measures. Your eye for research design is impeccable. Your ear for clear and cogent academic writing is keen, and your nose for honing in on a problem whose time for solution has come is uncanny. David has always been and continues to be proud to call you his friend and colleague. In that, on behalf of all of us, educators, scholars, future educationists, educational researchers, and the like, we thank you, Dr. Anderson, for everything you do, and most importantly, for being you.
Well, thank you. That's pretty overwhelming, hearing all of my daughters and granddaughters and grandsons. And my son Andy, you know, he's not had an easy life. He's a down-home kid who runs a lawn care business in Florida. But we did help all these kids through college.
Oh, fabulous. Well, those are wonderful words, and everybody with whom we spoke had the same, very similar themes, a lot of similar things to say about you. So,
well, it's hard to see how my granddaughter Eliza, who's about 19 or 20, can have the same perspective as Gail Sinatra, who's a full professor. But there it is.
they see similar values in you across the board. So thank you very much for the interview today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.